Anyone who could have made her laugh again at that moment, or anyone who could call her boss and tell him she wouldn't be in today. But she knew she couldn't take another day off from work. She was already in the red for sick days, and there had recently been another hire at the talent agency to book the models and photographers for the shoots. If she could, she would resign tomorrow, but that wasn't possible. In her perfect world, she would spend the day drawing and working on the illustrations for the children's book her mum had written, but never published. That was her only regret on her deathbed, she had told Amanda. I should have done more of what made me happy, like writing. I didn't trust my voice until I was older. I should have known I knew what I was doing sooner, or at least tried. Amanda had tried to tell her it was fine. She had raised Amanda as a single mum, who had moved to New York from England when she was 20 to become an important writer. Then she became pregnant with Amanda and gave up on her dream. Instead, she worked as a court stenographer for 25 years, giving them stability and food on the table, but at the cost of quashing her dreams, so Amanda could have hers. But was the dream of being an artist a reality? She thought as she left the subway and walked the 3 blocks to work. She hated her job, but it wasn't like her door was being knocked down with offers for her drawings. She had seen so many agents to try and get one of them to take her on. All she needed was one important commission, and then she could leverage off that. But the response was always the same. Your style's too old-fashioned. We already have a Beatrix Potter style of illustrator. No one cares about flowers anymore. She didn't think her work looked like Beatrix Potter's. It was inspired by her style, but not the same. Just characters living in New York, doing New York things, but as animals. There were the ferrets who ran the local bodega, and the warthog traffic cop, the elegant frogs who dined at Gramercy Tavern, wearing pearls and gloves and heels, and the tiny little puppies all in school uniforms, tumbling through the fancy iron gates for their posh school. Amanda pushed her non-existent art career out of her mind as she threw the coffee cup in the rubbish bin outside the building where she worked. She took the elevator to the 14th floor and nodded at the receptionist, who scared her most days. She was an ex-model who never quite got enough bookings, who was now working her way into a role in the office that involved duties other than looking predatorily beautiful and bored. She was a hyena who Amanda tried to avoid whenever she could. Amanda, Greg wants to see you. The hyena hissed, and Amanda swore she was smirking at Amanda's outfit of a denim pinafore and a red checked shirt. In hindsight, she realised she looked like Raggedy Ann with her red curls and black boots. The dress was the only thing that was clean, though, and the red shirt had been her mum's. The collar still smelled of Diarissimo, and there was a tiny hole where her mum used to put one of her many ebullient brooches over her beautiful, warm heart. Amanda wanted to go to her desk and do her work and count down the hours until she could go home and lie in bed and cry. But if Greg, her very exacting boss, wanted to see her, she had no choice. Greg was sitting at the small round table in his office instead of at his desk. In front of him were some papers turned upside down. Her stomach started to churn at the sight of them, and Greg's very serious face when she sat down in the chair he gestured to. Greg was a bull, and he didn't ever spin any bullshit. How are you, Amanda? He asked, and she wondered if it was a trick question. Fine, she lied. Listen, I'll get right to it. This is a hard time in the industry, and I know you have had a hard time personally. She nodded because she wanted him to know she understood, even though she didn't. Which is why we need people who are entirely focused and passionate about bookings. Amanda heard the train coming down the track. She was tied down. She couldn't move. Okay, she encouraged. Just run me over already, she wanted to say. Get it over and done with. So, I'm letting you go. You seem to have your priorities elsewhere, and while we have been patient and accommodating, you have hardly been into work. That's not true, she argued. You were in 2 days last week. No word on the other days. I mean, we can only do so much. I have a business to run. Amanda tried.